Okay guys, welcome to another tutorial by Nocode Africa, and in this tutorial you're going to learn more about conditional visibility as concerns mobile applications and web applications within FlutterFlow. So this is going to be the case study. This is Talcon's website, right? And this is the demo of the site, right? So I will just show you some basic things like basically the very first thing we're going to start with is going to be on getting to display something to the user when they get to feel this particular document, right? So this is one of the things that we're going to show our users. Let me just quickly run this. Run it. Yeah, so the idea about scenarios like this is when a user gets to feel a form, like feel something like this, maybe put some few details inside the text field here, yes, and then they click on submit, like they click on the button here to submit. They should see some form of alert, some form of information that notifies them of the fact that okay, you've actually submitted something, we have acknowledged that we have received something from you. And yeah, so basically that's like the idea. So for us to achieve something like this, then we're going to have to set some conditional visibility for this particular widget, which is like a huge container with a text widget. So we're going to do that all inside FlutterFlow, and then we get to see how it works. Meanwhile, if at all you want to see how it really works, let me just show you here. So if you go to the website talcon.com, you will get to quickly have like a first-hand experience with regards to what I am talking about. So let's say for instance let's say you come down here, or maybe even here. Let's say you're here and then you want to drop your email. So we're going to be doing two things actually. So one is for this part, and then one is for the disable button functionality which you just experienced. So when a user starts to type something, they immediately get to see this particular button comes up, but if at all this is empty, they can't even click the button, right? So this is the disable button functionality that we're going to implement as well. And then also the next one we're going to implement is what I was trying to talk about earlier. Let's say you put your email here and then you want to like join this waitlist. You can go ahead and click to join the waitlist, and then you will see this information here which will disappear now. Great. So that's like what we want to implement in this particular tutorial. So sit tight. This is the view from FlutterFlow. I just ran it. So this is the mobile view. We have the same results, so we can actually get to just like fill a form. I think let's fill this form as well. And okay, so if you observe, if I remove this dies, right? So the button is no longer activated for you to click on, but when something is inside, it goes ahead and allows you to click it. So I can just click this now, and then I will see the information. Okay, it shows here. All right, so good stuff. So let's try to see how we can implement this quickly. Okay, so how do we get these running? We're going to do this in simple ways, and the very first way we're going to try, like not first way, the only way. All right, so we're going to try to implement that thing here because we don't have it here. So if you click on this button now, right, we have the disable button functionality. Yeah, that works here. I will just explain how this was done, but when it comes to the other one, I will have to like do it in real time. So let's click on the column here. Okay, before we do that, let's just quickly go to let's go here. I want to copy. I don't want to like recreate anything from scratch, so I just want to copy. So I want to copy this particular widget, the container that contains all of this information. So I will just copy it, So you can create it yourself. The idea is just for you to understand the logic around this. Okay, so you don't necessarily need to redo these except in your project. So I have copied the widget, it's on my clipboard now. What I just need to quickly do is I need to implement it here. I can click on the column here, and then I will go to add a child to widgets, and it's a bit slow, and then I will add a row. Yeah, I'll add a row, and then in the row I will go ahead and then put the okay, I don't need to do like that. Just click on the row and just paste what I copied. So I paste this. We're not really going to pay attention to lots of design, you see. So this shows here, right? So this is fine, it can show here. You can actually decide to position it anywhere you want to. You can position it just under this, you can position it anywhere, but I think this is also good. You can position it here. So let's see how we can get this rolling. We will do this first before we now do this. So let's look at the whole concept of conditional visibility. Now we want to make these everything that is inside this row to only show based on a condition. That's basically what conditional visibility is all about. And where can you even access that on FlutterFlow? So there is a particular section here for every single widget, right? So you will see something here that says conditional visibility, so you can turn it on. And I just click to turn it on, and the next thing you need to do is you need to do some basic setups. So here is where you do the setup, and you need to go ahead and set the conditions. So the conditions are quite simple, right? There's like quite basic conditions, but before we do any of these conditional visibility stunts, all you need to first of all do is you need to go ahead and set up something called app state. Like you need to go to the app state and add a state variable. Alright, so you have to add a state variable. You just click here. Basically the state variable that we're going to be using here is going to be subscribed, right? So it's going to be a boolean, true or false, and then it's going to have like an original value of false, right? And that's it. So you just come here and then put your variable, the variable name, let's say subscribe, and then select boolean. All right, so just select boolean and then go ahead and create it. So when you create it, you will have the same thing too. Now what you need to do quickly is you need to do after you've done this, right, you've done like the major work, the next thing you need to go ahead and do is come back to your widget tree and then do some basic setups. So let's try to see what we can do as a setup. Now we want a situation whereby when a user clicks this document, all right, to submit, okay, this is basically what shows. All right, and how do we go about doing that? So let's click on the button first and then see some basic things. So the initial button here, what basically makes for the disabled part of this button is what we have here. Let me derail a bit and maybe just simply explain this, yeah, because we won't like start this one from scratch. Let me just explain it quickly. For the disabled part, it's quite simple. All you just need to do is have your text widget. You just have to have your text widget, which you already have, then you have a button. So this text widget has to be filled for these to be highlighted, right? So this has to come alive. All right, it has to be like this. Let me click this to remove it. All right, so it's gonna be like this when a user types something inside it, and it's going to be like this when it's going to be disabled, like faded through like this when nothing is there. So you need to set up your disabled color code here. It should be something more like a washed version of any of the colors that you've used here. So how do you set it up? What you just need to do is click on it should be on set here if at all you've not set it before. And then what you need to do is go to conditions, and then from conditions go to single conditions and set the very first value, right? So the very first value here is going to be, when you click on it, right, you go to go and select the widget, that's the text widget. So we click here, then go to widget state and pick the text field. So here is the text field for the the part where the user has to enter their email address to join a waitlist. So we just click on here, and then after that you now have this particular information. What you need to do now is click on equal to, and then choose is not set or is empty, right? That means if at all that particular place, the text field is not set or is not empty, that means it doesn't have anything, right? That's when this button is supposed to be disabled, because the conditions that you put up here must equate to true for this button to go be disabled, right? So you can just choose here is not set or it's empty, and then that's like the whole thing, right? So after that you can just click on confirm, and then you're good. But I think the first thing you need to have done is actually to turn the disable button on. Yeah, in your case it might have been off, so you just have to turn it on, and that's how to set this up. And then you can turn on the preview in UI builder so that you can see how it looks like with the disabled color choice that you have selected. That's it for that one. And then also to make sure that this works, right, you need to come to your text field. This is very important. You can't skip this. You need to come to your text field after you've done this disable part, and then you have to scroll down, go to some part that says update page on change. All right, so you have to turn this on, reduce it. I think it's by default it's like 500, so reduce it to like 300. That simply means that this is the delay that it takes before it updates the page. So it's going to update the entire page depending on the change that it experiences. That's like the idea. The change here is when the user starts typing something inside, that means there's a change on the state, so it's going to update it with the current state, change on the state. Okay, all right, so we are done with that particular part. What we need to quickly do is we need to go ahead and finish up this particular one, and we had already started. So let's come here. I've clicked on these. Let's go to, okay, this is it. Let's go to the row. Yeah, this is the row that contains everything. Good. And then now we want it to work on condition. We want this to only show based on conditions. We don't want to just show, because if you don't do anything around it now, it will show. All right. Well, anyways, we've actually turned on our conditional visibility, but we have not set any attribute. Okay, so how do we go ahead and set the attribute? Let's click on these and then do some settings. If you come up here, you will just say single conditions. And then basically what you want to do is you want to say that, okay, the first value here is going to be, let's click on set and go to app state, and then you are going to choose subscribed. So this is the very first value. So subscribed has to be equal to, we're not going to use not equal to is set, it has to be equal to okay, so now basically you need to understand that that the app state that we use has data type boolean, so it's not going to really be fair to make it equal to, so we can say it's set. All right, so if it is set, we don't even have a lot of things again to show. Yeah, so I think instead of going ahead to use is set, you can well, I think there's a way you can walk around using is set, but that's like going to be like super complex. But the perfect thing that I will advise you to do, let's just remove this. Okay, and where is it? Let's come back here and then use equal to. Yeah, so let's just click on conditions, single conditions, and the first value is going to be our app states subscribed, and then we need to go ahead and say equal to the second value here. We're going to just click on this and say specific value, not from variable, specific value. value, since it was a boolean, it's the only two specific values that we can ever have is false or true. So this is supposed to only show when it is true. Okay, so let's put it true. That means we want this thing to only show, this particular row now that has conditional visibility turned on it, right, to only show when the subscribed value source is actually true. All right, so subscribe has to be equal to true for what we have here to actually show. Then we can just go ahead and click on confirm. And then like that, we have set everything up for, not everything, we've just set the conditional visibility for this. Now we need one more thing. What turns on? We need something that can turn on that can change the app state, because by default, right, the app state is actually false, right? The app state for subscribe is actually false. So we need something that is going to turn it on, and that's going to be the action that we're going to give to this button. All right, so how do we go about doing that? We just need to come here and then set up some actions. So we already have two actions here, which is to actually do a backend backend call to create documents. This is basically to submit to Firebase. That's fine. What we need to do, and then show a snack bar, we don't necessarily need to show a snack bar, so we will take this particular one off. All right, so let's just remove it. And then what do we need to do now? We're going to say after the backend call, we want it to update the app state. So we click on add an action, and then we will say update app state. So here it is, update app state. And then so when we click on update app state, we're expected to like add the fields that we want to update. So when you click on it, you have basically some fields here that you had already created. So if you don't see these fields, that means you did not create an app state. So you click on subscribe, and then now we need to go ahead and then set this subscribe to true. So we click on this and then select update type. We want to set the value of the subscribe variable. We want to set it to true. By default it is false, so we set it to true. And then we are going to, when we set it to true, right, if we set it to true without turning it back to false, this particular information will just keep showing continuously. It won't change, it will always be showing. So because now we have updated the app states to true, and then it has to show when it is true. So we have to go ahead and then maybe put a delay, right, which is exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to put a wait delay, and so we will just say wait delay. We will delay it for just about 3 seconds. So for you to put 3 seconds, you just make these 3000. This is 3000 milliseconds, and that's like 3 seconds. So we wait for 3 seconds. Then after that, what else? We're going to update the app state again. All right, this is like the logic around it. Then you update the app state, and we're updating it back to false. And of course, when it is false, I'm gonna click this now and say subscribe, and I will go ahead and then click on this to select the update type. I want to set the value, and this time around I want to set it back to false. That's it. So now basically what happens is that when a user clicks on this button, it creates a backend call that actually creates a document in the Firebase, fine. And then after that, it will update the app state from app state to true, and that's the only condition that makes this thing to show, this container to show. Then it will wait for 3 seconds. Then after that, it will update it again back to false. And then when it updates the app state back to false, this entire page will have the app state for that particular variable declared to be false, and so this will no longer show. That's like how it's done. We can just go ahead and then I will just run this quickly while I just take you through a recap of everything. Then we can just see what we have done. And I know you might be asking yourself, does it do the reload automatically or something? So if you check the logic here, the action, right? So it does a backend call and creates documents. It updates the app state to true, waits for 3 seconds, then updates it back to false, and all of these, in each of the times that it is updating the app state, it is also rebuilding the current page. So it rebuilds it immediately. You won't see it. It's not going to like reload. It just rebuilds it. So there are different values here. So you can say rebuild all pages, no rebuild, and all of that. So automatically by default, it actually has to rebuild the I had to come here so that it can quickly run up. So it has to rebuild the current page. Okay, so that's like the recap for that. And then the recap for this particular part is just for you to, that's the disable part of the button. What you just need to do is we come here to the property of that button, and then you scroll down. You need to take into consideration 2 things. The very first one is this part, this particular property of this button that allows you to disable your buttons. So you have to turn it on first. Then after you turn it on, you can check on these to preview in UI builder. There's a huge possibility that you might not have a disabled color, so you need to come up here and then pick any of these faded colors. All right, and then after you've done that, you just need to go ahead and then set the conditions that we set here, which is the very first value is the waitlist text field. This one here, the text field here must not, like, you have to set that it is not set. All right, you have to select the condition that this waitlist is not set or empty. That's like when this particular button has to be disabled. But if it is set and it is not empty, then of course this should go up bright. All right, so let's take a look at what we have created and then just test it out. So we did it on the desktop, so let's use a desktop. Let's use this. Okay, so here we will just go ahead and try it out. So this is it, and so this is already working because it was already done. So I can just say Mr. David rock@gmail.com, and then after that I just need to go ahead and submit. So when I submit this document, it's going to show it here, and about 3 seconds it goes away. All right, so that's like the idea for your conditional visibility. I hope that you have learned a couple of things, and I hope that you're going to end up subscribing to the channel so that you can always get more tutorial videos like this. So please just subscribe to the channel, click on the like button, and turn on your notification bell so that you can always receive notifications whenever I post a video. All right, see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.